weeks ago, I took you inside my English toolbox for my middle schooler and high schooler. Today, I'm going to take you inside a different toolbox, this time for environmental science. Now, my high schooler has been taking this course as her science credit for this year, and you know how I do. I want to make sure it's an immersive experience, especially with her future aspirations of going into conservation biology or wildlife conservation. Whether those streams change, who knows, but we want to make sure that she has a strong foundation in these high school years. So today I'm going to take you into a little bit of a tour of some of the resources that I've added in as supplemental material and experiences for this environmental science year. Don't you worry, some of these can be used for younger students, and I'm also featuring a brand new product from Thistles and Biscuits, and that is the field journal. So I'm going to take you inside that, and yes, I do have a really good discount code for you, so stick around.
Maybe there's a version of me left that doesn't feel afraid of what comes next.
Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene & Company. As I said before, we're going to take a deep dive into my environmental science toolbox for this school year. Now, this is impossible for me to include every single element in one video because it's kind of just like an ever-evolving topic that we just take inspirations from lived experience and everything that just happens from day to day, and then things that I see. But I want to pick a few items that, let's call this a highlight reel. Interested in seeing a full review and flip through of environmental science, I reviewed that like ages ago, and I'll put that down in the description box below so you can take a look at that if you want to see that. Now, my daughter has been adding in another additional course through Maya Prep with environmental science because we wanted to give it a test to see how their science courses were so we can decide if we want to do that for next school year. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. But that is something that she's integrated. Not that Oak Meadow needs it, but that we have it. So let's turn the camera around and take you inside my environmental science toolbox. You ready to see? Let's go. First off in our toolbox is from the team that we all know and love, Thistles and Biscuits. They have a brand new website called the Field Journals. Inside that website is a brand new snail mail, and it's not like a snail mail I've shared with you before, and you know how much I love them. This one is from a field journalist called Rowan. She's sharing her field notes with you, and in them, it's not just science facts of the nature observations and nature elements that she's observing. In this letter specifically, she is talking about the sequoia, and it's not only about the history of the sequoia and the scientific parts and the elements of it, but it goes so much deeper. The human connection, the indigenous tribe and cultural elements connected to it, how humans have impacted it through time, and the continued efforts and conservation efforts that happen in the past and present. These hand-illustrated letters takes you on a journey, not only on the journey of what was observed, but all the things that you can dig in deeper. Each letter is going to include 2 to 3 hand-illustrated stickers that you can add to your own field journals to encourage your kiddos to create their own and go along with Rowan. Also, an art study card to learn how to draw. For example, right here, he had the sequoia. And I just really look forward to receiving more of these. Okay, now that you've had a closer look at the field journals, I'll remind you that my discount code is Arlene. I am not affiliated in any way. They graciously sent this to me in exchange for our honest review. You guys know how big of a fan I am. I actually have a playlist for Thistles and Biscuits material. They have amazing resources, and if you're looking for something for Earth Day, which Earth Day is every day, friends, I highly recommend their other study, which I had reviewed in the early years over on my IG page, which is Roots of the Earth. It is fantastic. I love it. It's just, if you're looking for something that is for the younger crowd for conservation efforts and just learning all about it, it's just done with such a purposeful, meaningful way, and you know that they know their stuff, and I just cannot speak it praise high enough. So if you're shopping in Thistles Biscuit, their main website, my discount code there is Arlene20, and that'll give you 20% off anything in their shop. However, if you're viewing this while they're still having their spring sale, that sale is better than my discount code, so make sure you pay attention to that. However, if you're looking at the field journals, that is a separate website that they have, and you can use my discount code Arlene. So no 20 at the end, it's Arlene, and that's 15% off your snail mail subscription here for your field journals. So I just wanted to share more details on that with you guys. Again, I'm not affiliated. They're just graciously extended discount codes for my subscribers and followers. So I thank you for that. All right, so let's move on to another favorite small shop of mine that I've known for the years and years and years, and that is Fiddlestick, created by Becca Brewster. I absolutely love her resources. Back in the day when she created resources for like Star Wars, big Star Wars fans they were, and are, and had really great learning materials for that, and it was just so fun. I'm gonna link the Etsy shop and her website down in the description box below. I do not have a discount code, friends, but her prices are very, like, you know, they're awesome, they're great, very affordable. This particular study is called the Immersive Rainforest, and I'm going to tell you all about it in a second. But first, let me tell you, this is for 12 and up. However, she has a version of this for the younger students, from the littles, you know, elementary and middle and, you know, everything in between, that is like a variation of this in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, this is very like dead on when it says like 12 and up. I really agree with that. You know, you need that higher level of critical thinking and stuff. So it is great for that stage. I would even venture maybe even like 7th, 8th and up, but you know, you may have a student that is really into this and that will do very well with that, and they can pick this up right at that 12 age range. But I would, you know, even venture a little bit older, and you take a look, and she also walks you through it herself on her Instagram page, and walks you through each one of these levels, so you can take a look at that. So here is a group of proposals. The minute I saw this, and she sent this to me right after she created it, just to get my opinion on it. I had no obligation whatsoever to do a review. The minute that I read through it, I had been sharing about it over like the last couple of years, I want to say, because we had intended to do environmental science last school year, but my daughter changed her mind and wanted to do Build Your Libraries history of science first, and then save the environmental science for 9th grade. So that's what we did. So then this just kind of just made more sense to wait to do it with environmental science, and that's what we did. So I have an example of one of the proposals to go over with you. So basically, your child gets a job offer, and she has it down like logic and science, and I'll read through this little blurb because it explains it way better than me blabbering. Take on the role of a planning office. So they actually get like a job offer, and that's how like this whole thing starts. Like they have this job offer, and this is their job of what they're going to be doing. So take on the role of planning office for the Rainforest Development Alliance. Obviously, all these names and companies and stuff like that is fictional, and the situations are fictional, but they're inspired by, like, you know, real things that can happen. Read through planning applications accompanied by expert opinions, scientific journals, magazines, and newspaper, and all these articles and stuff like that will be part of the proposal and things that you will be able to view and see. And I found this to be much better as a collaborative effort instead of being like, here, child, do this on your own. I just didn't feel like it would be as meaningful that way, and that it would be a little bit too much. So I found it to be better as a collaborative effort, and this even better if if you're doing this as a group study. You know, if you have a group of older kiddos, I think they would be perfect for that. I said I was going to blab, but I did. Scientific journals, magazines, and much more, articles. Learn about the delicate ecosystem and the people who live there. Weigh in on the pros and cons of each development, and you have the notebooks, things that she provided for you, so that you can jot these things down and sketch it out and really form an opinion on the local impact, the global impact, and environmental impact, and just map it fully out. Develops critical skills, reasoning, data extraction, report writing as you decide which development you feel would be the best to go ahead. The study includes 8 proposals with accompanying documents, as well as a study guide with lessons and note-taking and evaluation sources and writing tips. I think this is so beautifully comprehensive, and in itself can be a study on its own. It does not need to be a supplement. It was just because we are already doing environmental science and we had committed to the fact that that's what we were doing. But this in itself can be a study on its own, friends, especially if you do all 8 of them. This is going to be very rich and a good amount of information. All right, so here you have welcome to the immersive education for Fiddlestick education, and she explains everything of how, like, you know, you can present this in multiple different ways, and gives you all the information. Now there's going to be the letters and notes from like concerned citizen, whatever, different letters and things like that. Some of them are handwritten, and if that is a problem, especially like I have a dyslexic child, there is a separate PDF file that everything has in normal font. So I thought that was amazing that she even thought about that. Like, hey, some students may not be able to read this well, or maybe they did never learn cursive or whatever. No shade if they didn't, you know, and they can't read something. Then you have a separate file that you can go ahead and view it in just regular font. Also, you can purchase this as a PDF, but you could also purchase this from printed. I think she's did it through Lulu, I want to say. I had it as a PDF. So here you can see like the Rainforest Development Alliance. You have the offer of employment for planning officer for the Rainforest Development Alliance. And then you have all like, you know, the information about their job and stuff like that, the position, title, planning officer, the start date is immediate, and what region. So it makes it feel like really real, and like, you know, this is really what's happening, which I think that's such a fun element. So it's just not dry, like information and like, why do I care? This is really what I consider to be immersive education, and just as the name implies. So this is an internal assignment note. So again, they're getting like their work information of what they need to do. So review of planning application for development in the Amazon rainforest, and then you have all this onboarding information before you hit the first proposal. So take notes on each application as you work through them, taking into account the pros and cons of the proposal, discuss your findings with other members of your teams, produce. So again, like I said, it's great as a family style type of study. So familiarize yourself with the proposed development area, so you can, you know, integrate geography into it, furthering the ecological studies, and, you know, even like, you know, there's so much that you can integrate into this to really flesh it out. And if you're a unit study type of family, you can make this like a whole science. All right. Here you have like these nice vivid pictures to go along with whatever is gonna be tackling. So here the Department of Land Development report of resources and economic value in the area in the Amazon rainforest. So here you have the introduction, resources identify. Here you have fisheries, commercial viability, and economic value. So really, like, this is gonna feel like if they have a similar title, they can have a little taste of it. So I thought that was really fun and unique way of presenting this information. So again, you have more information here. All this is onboarding info. This is before the first proposal. So here you have Preservation Society, reports on biodiversity of the area of the Amazon rainforest. So again, they're taking notes and studying this information fully before they dive into the proposals of, you know, and I will show you, before I show you the proposal, here is what you would be tackling. This is the scope and sequence, what we were expected to learn from this course. Not just like, oh, we're gonna do all these projects and these are fun activities, and no, what is the meaning of it? What are we looking to get out of it, and what will be the output? All right, so be able to assess in situations critically, looking at a range of sources, be able to determine the biases in a given piece of information, understand that they may not always be the right or wrong decisions. And because the type of work that this is and the proposals of, like, you know, should this land, you know, be developed for this or whatever, there's no real right and wrong answers, because there's going to be people all the way through the spectrum of different opinions. So it's
it's really about like supporting their opinion, their critical thinking process, and their writing process, or whatever it may be, and supporting that accurately, and following through the process really well while doing all that research, but not necessarily like no, you're wrong, or yes, you're right. Pros and cons when considering decisions, understand how developments in the Amazon impact the biodiversity of the region, be able to understand how developments in Amazon impact local residents and indigenous societies. So you have the overall outcome that you want to look, and then here I'm just going to go through the titles of the proposals so you can get an idea of the topics that you're going to be tackling and what proposals are going to be introduced. So new farmland, so you're going to talk about the rotating farming, food production, rainforest deforestation, and I'm going to give you a little hint into something that we're doing in 8th grade for my son. Now, you saw me do like a global tour of food with culinary art studies and the history of culinary arts. Now we're going to dive into another component, which is going to be more of farm to table, and having the social studies aspects, as well as the lively art, and even the civics component of it. Yeah, I know. Sounds tricky, right? But it's evolving into the study that I think is going to be really great and meaningful. And I think this particular proposal will be a great addition for his year as well. So this was something I did with my daughter. Down here is the hydroelectric dam, ecotourism lodge, so the tourism industry and plane travel, and the next one is selective logging, and then copper mine, then clothing production factory, which is gonna incorporate some indigenous tradition, workers' rights, and fair trade industry. This is like this one we have not done yet, and this is something that's gonna be like flowing into future years, because I feel this is something that we're adding in, we're not doing like every single one. And this is the way she envisioned it, is that you can literally just keep going. You can keep going wherever, however long you need to take with these, and maybe you do a couple or whatever. There's great ideas that she gives you for this. Then we have fisheries. So if you want to incorporate some indigenous culture, history, and things like that, it's very easy to do that, especially if you're doing this as a unit study or a main lesson block. There's a lot you can do with it. Okay, of course, geography, new town, so population movement, and then it tells you like the content topics, and then the outcomes for each individual ones of what the output is expected of what they will learn from that particular study: infrastructure, isolated communities, town planning, and all that jazz. All right, so that is the scope and sequence for the study, and I just wanted to go over that with you to give you a better overall idea, because I'm obviously not going to show you everything. So here is the first proposal. Obviously you can just have this book bound and make it all pretty, and the way I did it, this is just like print it like this way just for quick reference, but I would just print the individual proposal by itself to give to my student to put in their binder. So this is the new farmland, and this is how they would see it. So planning application, this is the applicant's information, the applicant, the contact person, project description. So you see how this is written in like whatever their handwriting is. If your student has a trouble reading this, there is the plain fonts as well. So it has a project description. So here, for example, the Southern Agribusiness Incorporated is proposing the development of new farmland in Amazon rainforest. The project aims to clear and cultivate an area within the designated development site for agricultural purposes. The proposed farmland will primarily be used for the cultivation of coffee using modern agricultural techniques. So that is something that they can research, like what are the modern agricultural techniques, including mechanical farming, irrigation, and crop rotation. Environmental impact assessment, and then it gives them information on that. Biodiversity and conservation, and it gives them information on that. This is part of the applicant's information. All right, and then this continues on for the social and economic benefits, mitigation measures, and any other information that is part of the application. So they're taking notes. Again, they're obviously, my student did not use these pages, but it is provided for you, a whole booklet of these for each of these. So you have like, if they want to make an illustration, then just some lines, pro con, funds, and then just local impact, like I said before, and a grid. And this is what each of the notebooks is for each proposal, but you can just use your own notebook and call it a day. All right, so here is like you're viewing the website of the company. So this is like makes it look like it's real life, y'all. Right, so you're this employee is looking at this application. Now they're looking at their website, looking at our information on their home screen, fertilizer, livestock, the future of farming in South America. This is like this particular fictional company's information. You're gonna have some like pro-con things, you know, people that are against the project, people who are for the project, and different information. It kind of just varies. And sustainability of the location, here's some information on that, and this is from an expert advice, right? So I really enjoy that. Then there's certain articles that, you know, relate. Again, this is all fictional, but it's really great stuff. Right? I just like love how creative she is. It's just amazing. And she has other resources that you should definitely check out. The importance of local food production. And then here you have like, you know, you have looking at individual letters. So for example, I am writing to express my support of the proposed farmland and development. So remember that I talked about that you're going to hear from people from the community that are for and against it. So here is a for, and then here, for example, I am writing to express my deep concerns about the proposed farmland. So you can hear both sides and decide, you know, which sides, you know, had more merit to you or whatever, or if the concerns, obviously concerns are valid, which is each side, but I just thought that was really, really great. Here you have objection to proposed farmland development, the Amazon forest. Here's another one. This is from the Rural Protectors. So that is one complete proposal. And as you can see, it's quite a bit to go through. So you can spend quite a bit of time in one single proposal. Then you have a study guide that gives you information how to flesh everything out besides taking notes and stuff like that. There's a QR code that you're going to be able to scan to get additional information, and not that information that I told you about, like having it printed. That is great. So single family study with one or more students as a subject. It gives you information on scheduling and stuff. Single family study with one or more students as a unit study, multifamily group, or co-op. And if you're working in a large group, you can split each proposal up, you know, for different jobs and presentations, and make a whole presentation on it. I think it's just fabulous for doing that. Just double check if you need a co-op license or not for using it. A debate starter, using as in a classroom setting. Maybe you have one of those type of classroom settings that you're looking at that. Tips on note taking, that's part of their study guide. And then writing a report, crafting a stellar piece of notes, language, and layout. And it gives you some great information on that. And then bringing your notes and everything together. Things to consider: navigating the sea of information wisely, source of the material, balanced presentation, credibility of the author, personal impact. All these things that I even talked about in my foundational week when we did that whole series at the beginning of the school year. If you want to watch that, about doing research and you know, the merits and everything behind that. So it has all this information, and then types of documentation, planning application, website, and all that jazz. And then you have proposals broken up in this format, which is really great for planning. So here you can decide, okay, I'm gonna do how much time between just looking at the website, give a look at the kind of services that the company provides, the land management, outlines of the economical benefits, and then you can see like a screen grab of everything that they're going to be looking at, and then you can make some further plans on it, and just look at it as a snapshot. And you have the planning notebook that I talked about. It was such a great opportunity for my daughter to really get a great idea. I know that her focus is really something with wildlife, but I wanted to give her roles that people play in it. So I think this is fabulous, and this is something that I can use again and time and time again. This kick. Now, there's a few others. There's one that's kind of more specific. This one was like a stretch, but I wanted to show you because I always like having science kits. Now we did make environmental science into a lab. This was just kind of like a fun little twist because, you know, we love, you know, seeing what nature can provide. So this particular kit, and I will have these things that whatever I could find on Amazon in my Amazon store, it's under Earth Day Every Day category. So make a test of your own plant-based pH indicators, oxidation, plant-based slime. They were not interested in doing that, and my son does join in when it's labs, even if it's not the current science he's studying. Plaque pigment, soothing bath fizzer, dream pillow. We used to do those all the time when they were little. But anyways, this was a fun kit. I actually found this kit on Rainbow Resource, but they have quite a few of these for this company, and the quality of the stuff that was in here was pretty great. So I call that a winner. Definitely would be one that I would pick up again. Nothing was like didn't work, and I think I still have like a couple things here that we can still do and have some extras. This one is rated for 8 and up. Anyway, so this is one of just like, the fun twist of environmental science, but they have like more traditional ones as well. So I wanted to show you this one really quick. I've shown several of these books. I just wanted to give you a reminder of another one that I like to pull, like if it's a specific topic that we're doing. I have several spines that I can look at. This is one of them, this Big Ideas Simply Explained. And if you've never seen one of these before, it's really great snapshot. I have so many of them. Like so many. If you look at my bookshelves, you'll be surprised. So here you have like story of evolution and ecological processes, ordering the natural world, the variety of life, ecosystems, organism and changing environment, the living earth, the human factor, environmentalism and conservation. So anything that was specific, we could just look at that, like islands right here. And then you got like in context, key figures, before, after, and then some current information as well, and then a little bit of a blurb on it. And then there's usually a person that you can dig in deeper from as well. So I find this to be such a great place to like just stem off from. So I really enjoy it. These two titles are super old. Well, not super old, but I still find a lot of great value in it. So obviously just know that some information can be outdated because, the nature of science. So if you've seen the cartoon guide, like history ones, they also have some science ones. So this is the cartoon guide to environment. I thought this was fun to, not necessarily for my oldest, though she does like reading graphic novels, but for my youngest to kind of just like tag along. And but the information is dense, but broken up in like a fun way and like humorous way as well. So hasn't fully gone through all this yet. But I just wanted to mention that they do also have the cartoon guide for environments. I have the physics one, and I have a few of the history ones as well. I got this one for Thrift Books and this as well. Okay, now this is super exciting for me. Again, like I said, this is pretty old. Well, I don't think it's old. Oldish. Let's see. What year are you? I think it's 2009. So, I guess in today's world. This is Teaching Green series. I haven't gone through absolutely everything in this, but I've done a few of the activities in here that has been very, really great received. And they have the high school years, they have the middle school ones, and they have the elementary ones. And this has like hands-on learning for learning about our natural system, fostering critical thinking for environmental issues, both local and global. And it has all these things that you can again, bring everything to life. So, and I kind of just like skim through and see what I wanted to, dive into. And some things like work better as a group, some things you can do with a smaller set of just, you're a couple kiddos or standalone. But this just gave me more ideas to pull from when I was just like, again, because I wanted to do a lab component as part of environmental science. So, normally what they're looking for is two science courses with labs. I want to have 4 with labs because that's how I roll, for her transcript, and then my son to follow. So I wanted to give a lab component. So I pulled from several different sources to provide that. So system of thinking and sustainability, creating a visual and acting, kind of like a mixture of like a textbook activity, informational type of thing. I just find some of these little old resources very fun to use and to integrate. And then keeping that in mind, what we do in real life. Now, we went for a very specific visit trip just recently, and that was called Behind the Seeds. And let me show you a little bit about that.
We tend to be very intentional when it comes to our field trips. And if we're on vacation, vacations is not an opportunity for us to do more school. To each their own if that's your thing. But if we do an excursion or something like special like this, we try to tie it into something if we can. If it's just for fun, it's just for fun. This was the behind the scenes tour in the land. If you ever taken the little boat ride. Okay, let's pause for a second. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? I know many of you probably have seen this before, but we had not, and I want one. I think he named it Stanley, and I want one. Anyways, back to this. The behind the scenes in the land, if you ever seen the boat ride and been on the boat ride and seen like people walking behind there, this is the VIP tour. Absolutely worth it. It was actually a pretty decent price. It was such a great price, and it's one of the only VIP tours that Disney allows you to film. I am keeping the voice of our guide, on mute because I did not ask for permission or anything like that, so I don't want to put that on my page, even though it's probably okay, but I'm not going to. The kiddos absolutely adore this, and everything came full circle because it just tied into our whole environmental science focus here, not only for my oldest, but my youngest that tends to tag along with everything else. It's just such a great tour, and the price was not bad. This year, something that we frequently is our local conservation center, which my daughter hopes to be able to volunteer when she reaches the minimum age. We're actually on an electric boat that is taking us through the mangroves and learning all about the importance of it. There's so much richness. If you have a conservation center near you, there's so much education that goes on there. We've done a mixture of field trips this year from our local conservation center, botanical gardens, our zoo, which we also have annual memberships for, and also just wherever we're traveling to, just having those nature inspired elements infused.
So I'm going to show you a couple other things now that I've shown you a little bit of our little immersive type of field trips that all tied in. So one of my daughter's major things right now, she's big on wildlife, but she's really been into birds and she knows so much. But I thought it would be great to give her some updated field guides. So I got her this Birds of Florida field guide, and this one is really nice, full color pictures, full pages, and it's a pocket size. She really adores this one. This is the Florida one. I got this from Rainbow Resource, and I'll link it in my Amazon store if I can find it. But this one is really, now I have the National Wildlife Federation Field of Birds for North America, and I have others, and this one is great as well. So if you want to integrate a little bit of wildlife, not just your traditional one, and I have an enormous collection of wildlife books. I have some new ones as well, some that I'm going to incorporate to biology with a special focus on wildlife biology for next year. And I may show you a glimpse of that, but just wanted to give you a glimpse of this as well. Now, I did mention briefly, because we have not done this study yet, but I wanted to show you Maya Prep, because she's doing that a couple courses with Maya Prep now that she started like in the second semester. And Maya Prep gives you like these extra studies sometimes that you can just print out. And one of the things that they had, and they had it by grade, and I printed out the 9th to 12th grade one, is the World Wildlife activities. And I just wanted to give you a glimpse of this because I thought it was pretty cool what they had available. And I know that several of these activities will be something that they will both want to do, and we're going to go ahead and grab that. But just to give you like a little general idea, I don't think this is available for download unless you're Maya Prep? I don't know. I don't think so, but they have like, you know, these flashcards, and they have different activities and research and all that jazz. And I just thought it was pretty cool. You know, just some fun extra case animal advocacy. This is one of the activities that I know for sure is going to go over super well, and I think we're going to probably finalize our year with this activity. And you can see here, like, decide which of the 10 endangered animals from the trading cards you think should be Maya's conservation mascot. Consider these questions to guide you. Write your chosen animal. Brainstorm reasons why you chose it for conservation. Reasons for chosen animal, which should be the mascot. Scientific data, role in the ecosystem, conservation success story, classical education elements in there. Anyway, so I thought this was pretty rad. Types of appeal. This you can view a lot of the Maya Prep videos on their YouTube. I think you can actually view them all. It's just you're not going to have the extra materials that you see in the courses. So this is actually going to take you to an English 1 course to tell you how to do types of appeals and things like that. So give you instruction in that English component. So anyways, I even had like some, you know, some fun coloring, which my daughter still does, and drawing instruction and all that jazz. Anyway, so this was just, and it keeps going. This was just an add-in that they just put in there just to, for World Wildlife Day, that they had. And I noticed a couple other ones that I had printed, but it's in my other binder. It has nothing to do with this video, so I'm not gonna spend time on it. And I just thought it was great that they offer these like extra added courses. Quickly, another book that we have been pulling from this year, along with our environmental science, as she's looking, you know, at the biodiversity, so what, you know, what is being affected. She pulls from several wildlife books, spines that we have, but this is a new one. We found this special edition one. You see the foil, it's pretty, from Costco. I know that Costco has been doing away with their book section, so you kind of have to check out the table of contents real quick, just so you can see what there is to offer by location. So I think this spine was like perfect, but this is something that we've only been like, you know, sprinkling a little bit since we got, but I'm really gonna focus more on it when we do bio next year, which is gonna be a little bit of a hush posh kind of blend, which wasn't expecting that we were going to do that, but that's what's turning into, and it's totally fine. It is, you know, it's a DK book. Like, need I say more? It's amazing. All right, so just wanted to give you a quick look at that, and she did not let go of this the minute she saw it. Look at that. I mean, amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that was helpful or gave you some new ideas, inspirations, or if you just want to here to hang out and do some laundry, that's cool with me too. What did you get done? Let me know down in the box below. Thank you so much for your time and your presence. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Why do I always forget that? Why is that so hard for me to ask people to like and subscribe? I don't know. I think you guys should just know to do that, but apparently I'm supposed to say that, so there it goes. ADHD, sorry.
Maybe somewhere in a universe there's gotta be a better life for me. There's gotta